The sole purpose of this video is to provide a basic overview and orientation of your new apparatus. This video is not intended to act as or replace individualized driver-operator training. Individual fire departments may base guidelines, policies, and procedures tailored for best practices. Pierce Manufacturing and Hughes Fire Equipment representatives are not liable for injuries caused from acts resulting from actions inconsistent with the information provided within this video and/or accompanying manuals. Refer to the Operation and Maintenance Manual for complete details relating to the components and features of this apparatus. Only trained personnel should operate this vehicle or perform maintenance. You are responsible for learning how to operate this fire apparatus under all conditions without having to refer to the manual while operating at an emergency incident. This video will discuss types of warnings and caution labels. It is your responsibility to locate and identify each of the labels and understand the importance and associated hazards. Warning labels will point out procedure that must be taken or action that must be avoided to guard against the possibility of serious injury or death. Caution labels will advise you that there is a risk of damage to property if certain precautions are not followed. Continuous training, reviewing of operation and service manuals, developing good standardized practices will assist driver operators with a more complete understanding of the components and operation of this fire apparatus. As the driver operator of this vehicle, you are responsible for understanding the function of each component of the apparatus, maintaining control of the fire apparatus at all times while in operation, make operational and functional changes while operating at an emergency without having to read operator's instructions or safety warning labels, operate manual override and emergency shutdown procedures immediately if a component fails to operate properly. Components location may vary with each Pierce fire apparatus. Review the exact location of each component prior to operation. Major inconsistencies between your vehicle and the information contained in this video should be directed to your sales representative. Safe operation of any vehicle is the responsibility of the driver operator. You must learn the location and function of all controls, switches, gauges, valves, inlets, and discharges. Due to a higher center of gravity, heavy trucks have a significantly higher rollover tendency than other types of vehicles. To reduce the risk of rollover, avoid making sharp turns, excessive speed, and avoid abrupt maneuvers. In the event of a rollover crash, an unbelted person is significantly more likely to become injured or die than a person wearing a seatbelt. In the event of a crash, unbuckled occupants can also become a hazard to other occupants, as they may be thrown around inside the cab. Seatbelts are required while in operation. Please refer to your warranty certificates for details and information enclosed in your manuals. Customer-installed equipment must be mounted to withstand road travel and comply with NFPA 1901. Modifications such as drilling holes or welding to structural frame components of the chassis are not permitted. Contact Pierce for instruction and review of non-structural sheet metal or other dissimilar metals for modification. Follow the radio installation guide for further assistance on installing or mounting electronics. Before placing your new apparatus into service, perform a primary inspection of key components of the apparatus, including all fluid levels, anti-lock braking systems, electronic stability control, and automatic traction control. Weigh your apparatus to ensure that it conforms to axle and brake ratings. Never exceed the gross axle rating printed on the label inside the cab. Exceeding these ratings could lead to reduced component life, personal injury, or death. Review the use of auxiliary braking systems, compression brake, exhaust brake, electronic retarder, and hydraulic retarder. Before placing the apparatus in service, refer to the operational maintenance manuals. Information on the operation and maintenance functions for the components such as the pump, pressure governor, and foam systems, along with other options, is provided in either the Pierce manuals and/or other manufacturer support information delivered with the apparatus. If you need more information, please contact Hughes Fire Equipment. Congratulations, Billings, Montana, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33794. Please utilize this 5-digit job number when referencing your apparatus with Hughes Fire Equipment and Pierce Manufacturing. We'll get started on a brief orientation of your new apparatus. Let's go ahead and first start down at the front bumper area. We'll start underneath the front bumper. You have 2 open-ended tow hooks attached to the frame rail. Moving up onto the face of the front bumper, you'll find your electronic siren PA speaker system. Moving just inward of that location, dual air horns, and then moving directly into the center, you'll find your winch. Let's move up to the bumper extension, where you'll find a swivel discharge on the passenger side. There also is a netted tubbed storage area on both passenger and driver side. Located directly in the center is where you'll find the control access for your winch. We'll talk a little bit about that in just a few moments. As we move all the way to the far right-hand side in the image, this will be the driver's side, you'll find your mechanical siren. Let's move up onto the body itself. On the outer edges is where you're going to find your marker turn indicator light. Just inward of that location, we'll find a headlight structure housing the low and high beam. The high beam is located just on the inside bezel. As we move up to the next bezel up is where you'll find a turn indicator, and then also in that same bezel, you'll find a forward-facing emergency light. As we move to the windshield, you'll have 3 windshield wipers across a seamless one-piece windshield. Moving out to the door area, where you're going to find door latches, which do have keyed ability for locking those doors. As we move up from that location, you're going to find grab rails for points of entry for all firefighters for ease in and out of the apparatus. Located directly in the front, you'll find a flat and also a convex mirror, and on the outer edge at the very top, over the front tire, is where you'll find a side-facing scene light. Here's some close-ups of those images we talked about. First, on the left-hand side, discharge with a tubbed storage location. In the center, your winch. You can find remote access plug-in on the left-hand side of the image. As we move to the right, this will be your lock or free spool. On the face of the front bumper, you will find an informational placard regarding 15,000 pound maximum allowable winch rating. Let's move now to the driver's side, where you'll find that tub storage location and also your mechanical siren. Moving up from that location, headlight structure and emergency lights. Let's move up to the brow of the apparatus, where you'll find 5 running lights located across the front section of the brow. Located directly in the center, you'll find a forward-facing floodlight. As we move up onto the top of the roof is where you'll find your emergency warning light bar. Housed within inside that light bar, directly in the center, not visible in this image, is where you'll find your opticom. Let's go ahead and move around now to the side of the apparatus. This is going to be the driver's side, where you'll find your shore inlet 20 amp auto eject plug. Let's now move to midship location. Couple of warning labels here. First, starting with this, a pressure hazard. Be cautious when opening caps, it may be under pressure. Also, as we move to the top, there is a fall hazard when climbing onto the side of the apparatus. And we do have a foam failure warning label here regarding not mixing different brands, consistencies of foam for failure hazard. As we move to the left-hand side, you'll find 2 2.5-inch discharges located on this side. Directly in the center, the Pierce logo, American flag, eagle, is your large diameter pump intake. Moving just to the right of that location is where your foam fill operations will be. It's the red lever. There are instructions on that lever how to fill. As we move down to the very bottom, you'll find your 2.5-inch female auxiliary inlet, and then across the bottom, you'll find all your associated and color-coded drains. Let's take a couple close-ups of those items that we just talked about. First, on the left, we've got the number 1 and the number 3 driver's side discharges, 2.5-inch. As we move to the right, this is going to be your draft foam tank lever, and then also a foam inlet. As we move down to the bottom, you'll find your driver's side auxiliary inlet, once again 2.5-inch female inlet. And then as we move to the very bottom, you'll find all your color-coded and associated labeled drains. Let's move down to the midsection. Just above this is where your cross laser or speed laser are located. There are 4 located in this area behind the netting. There is also a release mechanism to remove that speed load that holds the hose to the ground for loading of that hose. You'll also find, because of those hoses, there is an entanglement warning hazard located here.
Let's move to the side of the apparatus, just a quick side view of the image. Within this compartment is what we're going to talk about next, but let's take a quick look up at the very top. This is your logo, Billings Fire and Rescue, and then we'll move down to the pump panel itself. First, if you've exited the cab and your pump is properly engaged, you'll find the light illuminating under OK to pump. As we move to the left, you'll find your minimum operation maintenance schedule. This placard houses a tremendous amount of information. We'll talk about that in a moment. To the right, you'll find an automatic panel gauge heater. And then to the right in the green module is where you'll find your foam A tank. That's the level indicating the amount of foam in your tank. Into the gray area, there are two large gauges. First, your master intake on the left-hand side. As we move to the right, you'll find your master discharge gauge. In between the two of those gauges, in that gray section, you'll find your test gauge ports for vacuum and pressure. They are currently plugged. As we move all the way to the very far right top section, you're going to find the PCM fault indicator. This is an amber indicator if illuminated. And then you'll also find a speaker for the audible alarm. The outer edge of that bezel does allow you to dampen the sound. Let's move back to that minimum operation maintenance schedule where you'll find 150, 200, and 250 psi test pressures. On the left-hand side, you'll find the GPMs, and on the right-hand side, you're going to find the associated RPMs. You do have a governed speed of 2,100 RPMs, and in the upper left, you'll find the job number 33794. As we move down from that section, you're going to find all of your crosslays. These are going to be foam crosslays, and you'll see that they're individually and color-coded. To the right, you'll find your fire pump primer. There are some instructions just beneath that for priming at least 1,000 RPMs to engage that primer for best practices. Moving down, you'll find two placards. First on the left, the foam system instructions, and on the right, the specifications as to that foam system for Husky 3. Moving up into the upper right-hand corner, we'll talk about this next. This is your pressure throttle governor, and we'll go over those items next. The blue section is your water tank, indicating how much water is in your tank. As we talk about some of the items within this area, first, pressure throttle governor. In the upper left-hand corner, if illuminated, would be a check engine light. That would be yellow. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout for your RPMs. And then further to the right, if illuminated, it would be in red. That is a stop engine warning light. Moving down across the very bottom section of this is going to be all of your engine diagnostic information. And then once again, moving down to the blue module, this is going to be your water tank module, indicating how much water is in your water tank. To the right, you'll find two buttons. First, the red is a silence button, and just beneath that, you'll find a menu button. The silence allows you to stop the audible alarm. The menu in orange allows you to scroll through the various menu functions. As we move down, you have two options in this function, either pressure control or RPM throttle control. These are the two indicators for that. Located in the center, you'll find a digital readout where you can see the menu information. And once again, to the right, you'll find the option here of throttle control mode. The blue button is which allows you to choose either of those two functions, either pressure control or throttle control. And then to the right, you'll find an OK to engage the throttle, which means it's ready. That's a green indicator. To the right, you'll find a green preset button. This allows you to pre-program presets for pressures and throttle. Moving down, you'll find your throttle. If you'd like to increase, move to the right. Decrease, move to the left. If you'd like to move to the idle position, push in the very center to the idle position. Let's go back to the pump panel on the far left-hand side. We'll identify some of the items here, starting first at the very top that only trained personnel should operate this piece of equipment only after receiving proper training. As we move down from that, you'll find these black tags. These are going to be indicating for the tank fill and recirculating line. Just next to it, you'll find the tank to pump. In the pink color is going to be your deluge discharge. That's the discharge located on top of the vehicle. And then to the right, you're going to find couple of items here. First, the red module. This is going to be your foam system for your Husky 3 control module. We'll go over that in a moment. And then just beneath that, you're going to find the number 2 discharge. This is going to be orange. It's an electronic valve, and it's on the passenger side of the vehicle. To the right, you're going to find the number 3 crosslay, and then also the passenger rear discharge. Let's go back to the red module, which is your Husky 3 foam system. First, in the upper left-hand corner is the system on-off button. As we move down, you'll find foam percentage. That's a digital readout. The gray buttons are the increase or decrease your percentages of foam. And then the orange yellowish button is going to be a prime, and to the right, your system status. There are operating instructions on this module. As we move to the right, once again, the number 3 crosslay, and then to the right of it, you'll find the passenger rear discharge. Let's take a couple close-ups of those images that we just talked about, just to get a closer idea. At the very bottom, you'll find your primer drain, and then all your associated color-coded and labeled drains. As we move to the pan door, behind that pan door is where you're going to find the foam horizontal fill operation handle. That's the yellow handle. As we move down, you'll find your manual pump shift override, protected switch, and an amber indicator. On the left-hand side of the panel, you'll find these switches controlling floodlights and also your compartment heater. As we move just outside of this compartment to the next compartment right next to it, you're going to find the module regarding your generator, and then also the breaker panel, which should be labeled G1, which stands for generator. Your onboard generator is a Harrison 6 kW generator located on top of the vehicle. Let's move now to the compartment, same area, just above the shelf is where you'll find when plugged into shore power, this will activate, allowing you to maintain your battery system. This is a battery charger. As we move just outside of this compartment, you'll find 3 bottle storage locations with retaining straps. As we move to the rear section and just slightly above the wheel, you'll find this compartment, which houses an adjustable shelf and LED lighting. To the rear of the rear tire, you'll find SCBA bottle storage location and also the silver cap, which is your ultra low sulfur diesel. Moving up, the blue cap is going to be your DEF, which is a 4.5 US gallon tank. Just in front of and rear of the rear tires where you'll find your folding wheel chocks, and then you're also going to find an attachment location for your winch. It does have a 9,000 maximal rating. Here's the folding wheel chocks that we just mentioned earlier. Let's go ahead and go now to the very rear section of your apparatus. This is just under the rear tailboard. You can see that this is not intended for being used as a trailer hitch. It is for your winch. As we move to the rear section, you'll find your brake, turn, and reverse light indicators right and left side. You'll also find upper and lower emergency warning lights. And then also as we move through some of the items here, you'll find some warning labels here. First, not riding on the rear of the apparatus for fear of fall. Also an entanglement warning here. Because of those hoses coming above, we have the ability for entanglement. As we move to the right where the discharge is located, you'll find this warning label regarding pressurized caps and the associated hazards while opening a cap that may be under pressure. Also to the right, just an advisable warning label here regarding climbing on the side of the apparatus or rear. We also have some warning labels here on the exterior of the ladder for pinch hazard. As we move to the rear section of the body, you'll find rear-facing scene lights, and then you'll also find 4 pan doors located here. We'll identify the contents within this area in just a moment. Let's move down to the lower left-hand corner where you'll find your rear scene lights and also your hose bed lights. Moving now up to the compartment on the left-hand side, we're going to find a 24-foot extension and a 14-foot roof ladder located in this compartment. As we move upward from this location, we're going to find additional storage location for your 10-foot folding ladder and also your long tool storage handles. Located at the very top section, you'll find an additional storage location, whether it be for long tool handles or backboard storage. This is an available storage compartment. Let's move down from this location. We'll identify the items down at the very base. Behind the roll-up door, you'll find a pull-out shelf and also LED lighting inside this compartment. Moving up to the center location, you'll find a backup camera, and then just beneath that backup camera is your traffic advisor. As we move to the upper right-hand section of this image, you'll find additional storage. You can see it is sectioned off into 4 areas. And then let's now move from this area, and we'll move all the way to the very top section of your apparatus. The yellow diamonds are indications of a walking surface for nighttime. You do find that they will reflect with lighting. You'll also find additional compartments on the left and right hand side. Those hatch compartments do house dry deck material inside and also LED lighting. Let's now move to the passenger side front compartment hatch. You'll find this location houses your electrical reel. We'll talk about that in just a few moments. Also, since this image is very close, we'll look to the very left-hand side of the image, master stream or deluge device at the very top, and then also your Husky 3 foam system. This is the hydraulic pump for that, and we'll cover that in just a moment. Let's move to the dunnage area where you find your water tank top fill location. We do have some warning labels there also. You also find in the same area your foam tank fill location for A foam. You'll also find on that foam tank fill, you'll find a warning label here regarding foam failure and not to mix different brands, consistencies, or types. As we look once again to the dunnage area, this is going to be just in front of the midsection. You'll find your generator located on the left-hand side, Husky 3 foam system on the right-hand side, and at the very top of the image, this is going to be your master stream device. Let's move now to the Husky Foam System 3. You'll find the foam hydraulic oil reservoir. This is the fill location for that Husky foam system. As we move to the cab, this is a non-walking surface. You can find warning labels here regarding indication that this is not a walking surface. Looking from the front of the vehicle to the rear, you can see that diamonds for walking locations. As we move around to the passenger side of the vehicle, rear section of the compartment, you'll find a pull-out shelf. And you'll also find just to the rear of those axle, you'll find 3 SCBA bottle storage locations. Just over the rear wheel is where we're at in this compartment. We do have a tool board D handle to open that. Once it's open in the lock position, on the inside section, you'll find the lock to release it back to its original position. Just in front of the rear wheel, we'll have 3 SCBA bottle storage locations with retaining straps. As we mentioned earlier, your electric cord reel, this is where it comes down from the very top of your apparatus. This is a 200-foot electrical cord reel. You also have a release mechanism, allows that shelf on the top to pull outward and tilt down. The reel rewind is also located on the right-hand side. Let's take a quick look at that. As you can see, this is the junction box for that electrical cord reel. And then as we move down further, you'll find the button regarding your 200-foot 20-amp cord reel rewind. Let's move mid-section here. We got a couple warning labels here. We'll cover those. First, warning regarding not running on the side of the apparatus, and also pressurized cap. In the center area, you'll find your Pierce logo, American flag eagle, large diameter passenger side pump intake. And to the right, this is that electronic valve, and because that's electronic, we do have an override located here in case of motor failure. It's a 2.5-inch discharge. Down the lower left-hand side, you'll find your cab lift, and then just beneath that, you'll find your associated drains for those 2 items that we just mentioned. Some close-ups, once again, number 2 passenger side discharge, and this is the override to the left-hand side. Cab lift, we do have a couple warning labels here regarding caution and also danger. There are instructions on how to operate that on the placard itself. Let's move now to the inside section of the cab. This is going to be the rear section, passenger side, rear door. You can see you have 2 referred to as cabinets or EMS compartments located in the rear section and also in the forward-facing section. As we move through some of the compartments, I'll identify some of the items within this area. As we look to the center compartment, this is directly in the center. You'll find additional storage location and also a compartment light inside that area. Just beneath that, you'll find all of your daily checks and fluid checks for oil and transmission. Just a quick image looking from the rear section forward facing. Let's now move to the passenger side seat or officer's location. At all points of entry, we have these warning labels regarding personnel, and then also your vehicle is equipped with a supplemental restraint system, an airbag. Do not mount anything within this area, and there's also a warning label to discuss that airbag. To the right, you'll find the fill location for your windshield wiper fluid. Let's move upward from this location to the dash on the officer's side. In the very front section of the dash, you're going to find a 12-volt barrel-style access point. On the left-hand side, we're going to find your air horn, mechanical siren, and siren brake. Let's look overhead, first starting on the officer and also on the driver's side. You'll find push on and off red and white lights. What I would like to direct you to is the very center. This round puck style light will flash red, indicating you have a compartment open or a door ajar. As we move to the right over the officer seat location, you'll find your fire comm module. And then as we move just left of this location, we'll start in the driver's area. We'll identify some of the items within this area. Let's move down to the first step area where we'll find the air inlet outlet function and then also an air shutoff. That's a twist, not a pull. As we move upward, we'll find the door latch lock and also automatic windows. As we move down to the step area, just above the location we previously mentioned, you'll find your battery charger when plugged into shore power that will activate. This is your placard located at the right ankle. We're going to find the October 2019 date, your job number, the 5-digit number, gross vehicle weight rating, tire inflation, also the VIN, and also all of your fluid capacities, components, and fluid types. As we move down to the floor, you'll find your mechanical siren, brake treadle, and accelerator. As we move up from this location, on the left-hand side, you'll find your master battery switch, the tech module, and also all of your diagnostic port information on the right-hand side. As we move down to the lower section where the switches are, you'll find the ABS diagnostic switch, DPF regen, an indicator, and then also an regen inhibit switch. As we move upward, we'll find the indicator regarding your stationary OK to pump and roll, your water pump and your foam system pumps, and then to the right you'll find your load manager and also your generator PTO. On the right hand side of the column, we're going to find a digital readout for your pump pressure. We have two tank visions, one for your water tank and the other for your foam tank on the far right hand side. Let's move up from this location where you'll find the flat mirror control and also your convex mirror controls for passenger and driver side. As we move to the left hand side of the column, we'll find the ignition switch. Just above that, the start switch, and as we move to the right, you'll find a set of switches. First one labeled EM stands for Emergency Master, activates or deactivates all of your emergency lights. And then to the right, you'll find your headlight and also parking lights. And then further to the next switch over, you'll find your panel rocker switch, which allows you to brighten or dim the panel lights within the column area. Let's go ahead and now move to the steering wheel, where you'll find the insignia SRS, which stands for Supplemental Restraint System. There is an airbag located within inside the column. As we move to the dash, we're going to find the transmission oil, DEF level, and water temperature. On the right-hand side, we'll find your volts, fuel, front air, and rear air, speedometer and tachometer in the center. Diagnostic information will display above and below the speedometer. As we move to the right, you'll find your Pierce command zone. Tremendous amount of information right here at your fingertips. Underneath that, we've just got a set of switches here. We'll go over those in just a few minutes. On the left-hand side, you'll find the yellow pull to apply your system parking brake and push to release. And then to the right-hand side, you're going to find your digital transmission. This is your Allison transmission pad with an indication to pump and neutral. Upper right-hand corner, you're going to find your climate control. Let's go over a few of those items. First, starting with the very push button. This is the windshield wiper wash and also control for low, medium, and high settings. We also have an engine brake on-off switch, low, medium, and high settings, mirror heat, a siren brake, which is your red switch, a future location if necessary, and then also your tire chain deployment switch. Moving to the right, once again, climate control. We do have some warning labels underneath that climate control. As we move overhead, we'll find this placard. This is going to be just over the driver's seat. Let's review that real quick. On the left-hand side, we're going to find the height 10 feet 0 inches, the length 32 feet 0.75 inches, gross vehicle weight rating 46,500 pounds. It also has the job number down in the lower left. If you make any changes to your vehicle, please update this placard. Let's move just to the right to the set of switches here, where you'll find if illuminated, they will illuminate green, indicating the emergency master on the left, opticom, roof light, front warning, side warning, and rear warning. Let's move once again slightly to the right. This is just over the driver's seat. We've got another set of switch panels. We'll start on the far left-hand side with the high beam flash. You have front flood, driver's side flood, passenger side flood, rear scene light, and then also a selector for your air horn. Let's move just to the right to the next module, which is going to be your PA system and also your electronic siren. Moving over to the right once again toward the center, you're going to find this module, which is your traffic advisor. Congratulations, Billings, Montana Fire Department, on your new fire apparatus, job number 33794. If you have any questions about your apparatus, please contact your Hughes Fire sales representative. Thank you and congratulations.